of Unity of Modesto. So, welcome, and we're going to start off singing This Is the Day, which is so familiar. I don't know if there's words or not, but you don't. Jackie says yes, there are words, so you can join us in singing. This is the day that the Lord hath made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord hath made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord hath made. This is the day that the Lord hath made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord hath made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord hath made.
Good morning, everybody. This is a team effort, and we'll introduce ourselves. I'm Jill Loving, licensed teacher.
I'm Reverend Nancy McNatt, a religious science ordained minister.
And we have to run around and find the rest.
I'm Carrie Bourette, a new LUT.
A brand new LUT. Yay! Over here, right at the back, is
Sharon Casey.
okay, Reverend Sharon Casey. I'm interrupting her. Introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Reverend Sharon Casey, and I'm taking care of the sound system and the slides and the live stream right now. Thank you.
As well as everything else. Wonderful woman. Okie dokie. We have some announcements, I believe, Nancy. Want to do the honor, even though it says me, you can do them. Yes, you have. Shall we rephrase that?
Oh, I'm loud.
There you go.
The one time my parents came and listened to me do a service, the one comment they had was, "Well, you're loud." Yeah. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our anniversary celebration here. 91 years in Modesto. Isn't that fantastic? We hope that you will all join us for a little coffee and cookie afterwards. You can pick up your things and we'll step outside where there's lots of fresh air and perfectly safe, and we can enjoy the beautiful blossoms on the trees and chat with each other. Now, Carrie, have some, want to go through that? There's your,
Oh, Carrie's doing
Carrie's doing special information.
going to do a Zoom, a space for prayer together on Zoom. And in the weeks leading up to Easter, so there's a Zoom link on this piece of paper here so that you can join her on Zoom. And it's going to start tomorrow, March the 1st. Right, okay, you should have had an email. If we have your email information, then it should have arrived for you. And I think this is a brilliant idea, Carrie. Well done. Thank you very much.
And just a reminder that the office is open, thanks to Jackie, 2 days a week. Information. Oh, well. Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10:30 to 12:30. So you can bring in a tithe, you can bring in a prayer request, you can bring in something to drop off for the food pantry, because we have had a little more usage of that. And it's so nice to know that we too can help where people are needing food. So you can bring those things in then. And we also have a box in the back when you stop in on Sundays, and we are allowed to be here. We have lots of spacing, we have masks, and we are safe. We are safe. And yeah, too many.
Okay, Sharon, are you going to come and do the daily word? Good. No, we didn't. Oh, well, we'll do that while you're getting that. Let's do the Lord's Prayer together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not in temptation, but deliver us from error. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen.
Good morning. Today's daily word is connection. I honor my connection with all people. No matter how great the distance that exists between me and the people I care about, I know we are connected by our love for one another. Today, I reestablish and strengthen this connection by reaching out, even if it's only to let someone know I'm thinking of them. Our connection is also kept strong through prayer. As I pray for those I care about, I bless them by holding my highest vision for their lives, seeing them as healthy, prosperous, happy, and fulfilled. Whether you're in frequent contact or have fallen out of touch, my connection with my loved ones remains strong because we are one in God and one in love. And from 1 Corinthians 12, for in the one Spirit we were all baptized into one body, Jews or Greeks, slaves or free, and we are all made to drink of one Spirit. Thank you.
In the back of the room, we have our prayer box. Whether you use it today, writing down something, a person or experience, whatever is concerning you right now, and place it there, or whether you send us an email or a note. You can actually write on paper and put it in an envelope with a stamp and mail it to us. You know, I know that's old-fashioned, but it works very well. And we will work on your prayers for a month, the prayer group here, and then send them on to Silent Unity. Prayer is powerful. If you ever doubt that, look up some information on it. And there's some wonderful books on the power of prayer because it's been tested scientifically, and prayer works especially good on animals. So if you've got an animal with a concern, you can always feel free to put in your animals too. So right now, I'd like you to just visualize the prayer box and know that every request that has been placed into that box, whether it's by thought or written down, every request is already acted on, because there is one power, one presence, one love force that is God in, through, and around everything and everyone, every experience, every situation. We are not separated in any way. That wonderful living life force is healing us and our friends and our family and our world right now. It has no choice. It always moves forward in health and strength. And it is done. And we open our minds to accept that it is done and say thank you. And so it is. Amen.
Have an affirmation, Sharon? Affirmation. So we could say this together. Every cell in my body vibrates with positive energy, health, vitality.
And now we're preparing for meditation. In the midst of his children, the Lord said he would be. It doesn't take very many. It can be just 2 or 3. And I feel that same sweet spirit that I felt 12 times before. Surely I can say that I've been with the Lord. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and his grace. I can feel the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
And as you relax into the chair or wherever you are at home, know that you are supported physically and you are supported spiritually by all of us here, and everyone around the world knows about you. Take a deep breath in and relax in the peace of God. Every breath, my body responds by becoming peaceful. My nervous system relaxes. My body processes slow down, and my mind stills. I become aware of God's peace within me, the heart of me. God is peace. I am peace. This moment of silence. Back out of the silence and have a little wriggle. Get yourself back to this time and this place. Okay, we have a bit of a shorter meditation because I'm not quite sure how long the rest of this is going to take because there's quite a bit to get through. So. Okay, I thought it would be a fun thing if each of the four of us that are kind of inverted commas ministers told you about how we all came to be at Unity. So I hope you all think that that's fun too, because if you don't, well, you'll just have to blame me and that'll be that, won't it? Okay, I'm going to come out here so that I can be with you. Am I still on camera? Okie dokie. I was raised in a very happy Catholic home. No dramas, no traumas, nothing to report, nothing to say, oh, dreadful things happened. I just didn't like being told what to do or what to believe, just like every other teenager I know. Because they already know everything. You know the saying, employ a teenager while they know everything. Now, I would not have been going to my first Unity church if I hadn't already been opened or reopened to my spiritual awareness. And I have my relationship with an alcoholic to thank for that. He brought me to a place I never want to go ever again, but it took me to Al-Anon. And in Al-Anon, I rediscovered the higher power that was always there. And without going to Al-Anon and getting back into that new frame of thinking, I would never have said yes when Arthur asked me to go to church with him. Now, this was one of my trips to America, discovering America. And I'd been collecting pen friends because I was working on getting to America for a long, long time, let me tell you. And this was one of the plots. So I met up with one of the guys. Was extremely weird. I did not stay very long with him. But Arthur was fine. And Arthur said, I'm going to church tomorrow. Would you like to come with me? And I said, yeah, of course. Why not? I haven't been to church in like 30 years. Why not? Well, you can imagine, Unity of San Luis Obispo is something else. I mean, it's a beautiful building. There was a minister, and I suspect that she was in the Hollywood career thing because, you know, she knew how to strut her stuff. And she just blew me away, and I'm there crying all the way through the service. Hands up all those people who cried the first time they came to Unity. Because that seemed to be perfectly common. Arthur, who doesn't know me from Adam, is taking not a blind bit of notice. He's not the slightest bit freaked out by me weeping all the way through his service. They gave you a rose. I mean, that's the kind of church it is, you know, in newcomers. And that was it. I was hooked. I thought, I can do this. I understand this version of Christianity. So I get back to Bradford in Yorkshire, which is about as different from San Luis Obispo as you can get on this planet without going to the Middle East. And to my amazement, there was a Unity group 10 miles away from me. Now, this is nothing short of a miracle. I looked it up on the internet. I think there's 10 Unity ministries now. Yes, there we are. 3 in London and 4 for the rest of the country. So the fact that there was one 10 miles away from where I lived was definitely a miracle. My Yorkshire group has gone now. It was about as different from San Luis Obispo as you could get as a group too, because this was a little group of little old ladies, and I'm a little old lady now. And they came mostly from the local Methodist church, I think. And they were living out the Fillmore thing. You know, you can be in any church you like, but you can still do Unity and join in and do that. They taught me a lot about Unity. They got me to their home retreat every year. And I just loved it and thought, wow, look at this. My mum would be so proud of me. Not quite sure what she thought about me being a minister, but she never shared. But there we go. I got early retirement from being a head teacher, which was a very good thing because I was just about exhausted. And I spent some time coming back to America. I bought an RV. I drove around all the western states in 3 lots of 3 months, going to Unity churches wherever I happened to land on one on a Sunday. And I started my official education, attending spiritual enrichment classes at the village. And yes, they had an RV spot, so it must have been just waiting for me. And when I got home, I discovered that there was such a thing as a religious workers visa. since 9/11 there isn't, or at least there is, but it's a whole lot harder to qualify. And so I volunteered to work for Unity of Merced. In a wild moment, I did think I would go anywhere in America, but then I discovered I had cousins in Atwater, so I thought, well, there's a Unity Church in Merced, that would be fine. I'll go and play there and live with Ben and Mary, which is exactly what happened. It took a long time, but that's another story. And so began my journey with Unity of Merced. I arrived in January 2004. I was a member by February. I was on the board by March. I was the treasurer by April. And by May, I was telling them that if you carry on like this, you will run out of money. Does that sound familiar? Unity of Modesto? Yes. And not long after that, the minister solved the problem by leaving, and I had a church to run, just like that. And if I can run a school, let me tell you, I can run a church, no problem. I cannot tell you how grateful I am to have made this journey, because I was planning to come to America for a long time, especially when I discovered when you open the immigration page, it says you cannot retire to America. Of course you can. How foolish of you to think you can't retire to America. Of course you can. And sharing my spiritual journey with Unity of Merced and now with Unity of Modesto, I'm very much a practical Christian. I don't do much of the real spiritual stuff. But, you know, I know all about my inner life. I do my prayer and meditation and journaling, which has kept me sane for many a long year. And when I first needed to go to Al-Anon, I remember knowing that what I needed was a little book to read every day. I don't know where that idea, well, I do know where that idea came from. And of course, when I first went to Al-Anon, they present you with the little blue book. And let me tell you, that little blue book saved my life and my sanity. And so that's my journey to Unity. Thank you very much. And each of us has also got a song which goes with our story. So now you're going to get my song. Thank you.
I, the Lord of land and sea, I will let my people be free to join in harmony their world to mend. I who make the stars so bright, guide my people through the night. Who will share my light with them? Whom shall I send? Here I am, Lord. Is it I, Lord? I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord, where you lead me. I will hold your people in my heart. I, the Lord of sky above, I will send my peace and love, as my peace is meant for all to share within. And my world of peace shall live as they learn how to forgive. Who will speak my word to them? Whom shall I send? Here I am, Lord. It is I, Lord. I have heard you calling in the night. I am going where you lead me. I now
thank you, thank you, thank you. Isn't she fun? I mean, I love it every time she's speaking, I'm going to sponsor her to go put a tent up and go across the country. My path to unity began half 100 years ago. If you've heard me, I love to say 100 years ago because I've reached the point. I noticed over the years I was saying 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Finally, I just said, 100 years ago. Well, I started thinking about my path to unity, and I said, it really is half 100 years ago, quite honestly. And that was when I was studying to become a licensed practitioner of religious science, which is very similar to the LUT for unity. We studied the history of the New Thought movement, which included learning about Charles Fillmore, Ernest Holmes, Mary Baker Eddy, and the women who founded Divine Science and others. So I was introduced to the Fillmores and unity. I used to think what a lark it would have been to be in some of those people's studies. They knew each other, they talked to each other, they studied with each other. Oh, I wanted to be a fly on the wall. Wouldn't that have been fun here? Their lively discussions and classes as they learned and they grew and developed their spirituality. They had similar paths and developments, drives, and goals. And years later, when I was studying to be a religious science minister, again, we had the history of the New Thought movement, the founders, and the books from Unity, as well as books from religious science. I was one of those that read every book that was even suggested. I learned by that time to not tell my fellow students that I'd read all the books assigned. I just, they would throw rocks at me. Anyway, I founded a church in Fairfield, California, because at the time there was no religious science church there. And I founded it in February 1983, a few months before I actually graduated from ministerial college, because I could do it. A couple years later, a Unity church began in Vacaville, which is just about 30 minutes north of Fairfield. I met the young minister there, Alden Studebaker, and his wife, Donna. We became friends, which continues to this day. And when I met them, they had no children. Now they have 4 who are all graduated college. It's been a few years. Reverend Alden later wrote some books, one of which is Wisdom for a Lifetime, How to Get the Bible Off the Shelf and Into Your Hands. It's great. I can recommend it, and I think we have a couple copies in the bookstore. This book is now widely used by Unity for Bible study, and my copy is signed. Alden and I had talked of how much Unity and religious science shared, and we planned a church picnic of the two groups. When some members of his board balked, he told them, if you took the sign off the front of the church, you wouldn't know the difference. I still am inclined to see the similarities between religions and churches rather than the differences. And I'm not in favor of any church ever taking a stance of we're better, they're not acceptable. Again, I did learn by experience when I took a world religions class in college not to run up to the professor and see, I like to see all the similarities in the religions. And then I learned later he was a Baptist minister. My pathway to this church in particular came when I moved from Washington back to California after my husband passed away and I retired. I came to live in Salida near a son that was there at that time, since moved, left mom behind. One of the first things I did when I came here was to look in the phone book. You remember what a phone book was? It's a paper thing and you look up, And I was looking for religious science. And when I found there wasn't one, well, the very next thing I did was I looked for a Unity church. And I called, and the then office manager, Richard, answered, and it turned out that his background was religious science, and he had attended the church in San Jose where I went to ministerial school. It was Old Home Week. We talked and talked and talked. And then I came to church the very next Sunday, and you haven't been able to get rid of me since. I've been here for 12 and a half years. Thank you. I'm delighted to be here and help out a little bit wherever I can. And I found that this church and the wonderful, wonderful people that I meet here have given me a good, solid spiritual foundation for my life. When we take a coffee break later, share your story with somebody. It's fun to share your stories. And when it comes to spiritual foundations, the song that Margaret's going to sing for me is one that reminds me of being simple and simple foundations. It's called "'Tis a Gift to Be Simple." But that was my second choice. It was another song I kept trying to remember that we used to sing in church. And I looked and I went through the whole hymnal and couldn't find it. I finally said, I give up. Leave it to God. Guess what Margaret sang about 10 minutes? My first choice. Surely the present. So I get both my songs. Thank you.
Tis the gift to be simple, tis the gift to be free, tis the gift to come down where you ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we shan't be ashamed to turn, will be our delight, till by turning we come round right. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we shan't be ashamed to turn, will be our delight, till by turning we come round right.
I thought about running up here, but I thought I would keep you guys waiting. So how I came to Unity. Well, the first time I came to Unity, it was by car. I know. I'm a little sarcastic. Actually, it's a long story. I was a happy Catholic. I was quite content, very active. I was a Eucharist minister, greeting minister. I was working with a small group of people along with a few priests to get a St. Vincent de Paul started at St. Jude's out in Ceres. And then one day a friend gave me a book. This was early 90s. And she said, well, Sharon, this isn't for me, but it's for you. And that was A Course in Miracles. I've told this part of the story. So I went home, opened the book, and I didn't put it down for many years. It had all the answers that I had been asking, and it helped me. It's based on the same lines as unity. Some of the words are different, but it's the metaphysical part of it, that we are one, and that love is the answer, that forgiveness is the key, and that nothing is quite as we think it is. Anyway, I was singing in the choir, which I loved doing. It was It was my joy. I really enjoyed singing. I love music. And one day I had something wrong with my throat, and it ended up where I had to have throat surgery. So I went from singing in the choir one Sunday to crying in the pews pretty much the following Sunday, but nobody could hear me because I couldn't make a noise. And that went on for a few months, and I slowly became okay with it. I realized that just because I couldn't sing didn't mean I still couldn't really enjoy the songs and the music. And anyway, I continued on with being a Course in Miracles student and studying. And I started feeling this little tug, and it was time to go, which is kind of difficult when you're happy. I wasn't discontent. There was no rift in the church, or there was no problems. I couldn't sing in the choir, but I was very active doing other things, and I was content. But I kept hearing, it's time to go. And I thought it was just me thinking that, not that I was being guided, because I was still pretty new at listening to spirit. So I questioned it. You know, I needed a different, like some kind of proof. You know, show me that this is what I'm supposed to do. So I considered it often, and one day I was in the church. It was very quiet, and there was no one there. I went to church because I needed some peace and quiet, because I wanted to be able to listen to my guidance, listen to spirit, listen to God. And at my house, there was kids running around and dogs barking, and it was just, you know, I couldn't hear in the chaos of my home. At least that's what I thought. So anyway, here I am in the church, and I'm very relaxed, and I had been there for a while. I'm open to spirit. I'm waiting for my answer. And I start hearing this ruckus over on the side chapel. This was the chapel for Saint Jude. Anyway, I was like, wait a minute, I almost called him St. Vincent de Paul. This is a chapel for St. Jude, and there was a group of people over there, and they had flowers and candles, and they were making some noise, and I was like, okay, all right, they're there. I'm open, I'm sitting here. I'm waiting for an answer. And then they started making this noise, and they were being adherent. They were, praying. They were praying to St. Jude. And I started thinking, my goodness, pray to God. That statue can't hear you. So I was really judging them. I envisioned the statue being tossed out in Mitchell Road and diesel trucks running it over. Yeah. Anyway, so I forgave myself for that and for judging. And I'm going to say maybe a week or two later, it was still on my heart that I needed to leave. And I went back, and sure enough, I'm in there, I'm open, I'm waiting for a sign, show me a sign. And sure enough, here comes that, maybe a different group of people. It must have been the month of, for St. Jude or something. Maybe something was going on there, but there was a lot of prayers and candles and sounds, kind of moaning type kind of sounds. And I recall I got up and left, and I realized that at this point it could have been where I could have recognized that God is in everything I see, because God is truly in my mind, and that God is in that statue of St. Jude. But at the time, that was kind of my kicker to go, which I guess I needed something. And then later on, I needed to heal from that experience by recognizing the truth in it. But it was kind of like like a pebble in my shoe, and it took that for me to leave the church. And I spent about a year with no church at all. And what I missed was community. I missed being with community and with people, and having service, and joining with one another. And I stumbled across Unity of Modesto, and that was in like 98 or so, and I have pretty much been here ever since. Thank you very much.
Where are you going?
Where are you going? Can you take me with you? For my hand is cold and needs warmth. Where are you going? Far beyond, where the horizon lies, where the horizon lies, and the land sinks into mellow blueness. Oh, please take me with you. Let me skip the road with you. I can dare myself. I can dare myself. I'll put a pebble in my shoe and watch me walk. I can walk and walk.
I shall
Call the pebble dare. I shall call the pebble dare. We will talk together about walking. Dare shall be carried, and when we both have had enough, I will take him from my shoe, singing, meet your new road. And I'll take your hand. Finally glad, I am here, you are here by my side, by my side, you are here by my side, by my side.
Good morning. Well, it's so good to be here. I don't come here much because I'm still hiding home from the COVID. Nice when done with. It's so good to I think that I see my story as an example of how God is the guiding force within us, and God that is in everywhere and in everything works together seamlessly. Almost as if everything was one. I grew up as a Christian and spent a lot of years as a fundamentalist Christian. And my experience and my learning started making my understanding of spirituality and Christianity as I understood it, they started to diverge, and I didn't belong there. I explored many spiritual paths, and I ended up in Kentucky. My daughter was living there, and I moved there from Southern California, and ended up teaching there at Western Kentucky University. I met Daniel there. Both were teaching. We also were both studying Hinduism and Buddhism and putting together a model of how all of these different understandings of God fit together. And that's been a project that I still work on. And my time of teaching there ended, coming to a close. My daughter gave birth to twins in Florida. So I went to Florida to be with them. And then Daniel got laid off at Western Kentucky University. They didn't have room for him in the budget. So he came out to Florida. And so we were living in my daughter's house. And then her husband, a Marine, got stationed in Hawaii. So we all moved to Hawaii because we weren't doing anything else. So that gave me a chance to be with my baby twins, grandkids. So we moved to Hawaii. They lived on the base. We found an apartment. And one of our trips to the local unemployment office which was right down the street. In the elevator, there was a poster, and it was talking about an Eastern chant, and it was at Unity of Kaneohe. So we thought, wow, that sounds fun. So we went over there to see where this would be taking place. We met the minister, who happened to hang out there all day long. So we ended up talking for 2 hours. We were sharing our understanding of things. He was answering questions. And he invited us to come to service. So we did. And we started going to taking SEE classes because we liked school. And we didn't have anything better to do. So the classes. And Unity of Hawaii, which was on the other side of the island in Honolulu, they were the headquarters. It's where Unity National School of the Pacific Rim is located. Like you have Unity Village, and for other places, they were it. So they had all kinds of classes there, and they did what we call C weeks, whereas you get done with one of your classes, spiritual enrichment classes, in a week instead of one class a week. And so we kept going to classes because something to do, and it was classes like that. And so there was a time that our cash was running low, our lease ended, and we decided instead of renting a place, we were going to go live in a tent. So we moved to the beach in Hawaii in a tent. we continued going to classes. And we did not share with the class. We did share with the ministers, not with the class. So leave our tent in the morning, go to class, then go back. Plugged our phones and laptops, charged them up while we were there. And the minister, there was a temporary minister at Unity Church of Hawaii, and he was allergic to what it was. Something he was allergic to that he couldn't be in that house because he didn't have air conditioning. Had a fan. He had to move out, so we got to move in. And we stayed in a really nice apartment right by the church. And we were paying rent that was way less than what we would pay for a studio apartment. And nice. So we kept going to classes. And Daniel ended up running the kitchen there. Still going there. And we finished our classes. I did my first LUT intensive week in Honolulu. And it was time to leave. And my daughter moved to Texas. And I was torn. Wanted to go be by her, but Daniel had to come to the Central Valley. And so, so we looked up, where are we going to live? Well, let's see. There's Stockton. Looked at Turlock and Modesto. Pulled out Turlock because they didn't have a unit. And Stockton didn't sound as friendly as Modesto. So we to Modesto. And so here I am. And I finished my last 2 weeks of intensive in Missouri. Got my so it's amazing how things work together. Dances our inner guidance, and it's just go, even if we might still have no clue where we're going, which is how I feel. I know today, and that's about it. I like having a plan, but so for my song, I picked Here Comes the Sun, partly because I see it as a time where I want to give back and let my light shine, but also because it's being offered as a prayer and affirmation at this time that has been a shady, cloudy time for me, and it's time for the
Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. Little darling, the smiles returning to their faces. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. Little darling, I feel that ice is slowly melting. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been clear. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. Sun, 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 here it comes. Sun, 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 here it comes. Sun, 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 here it comes. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, I say it's all right. It's all right.
Yes, you are, because you've got the stuff. You've got the stuff. Come on, Carrie, come and be the star of the show. Becoming an LUT is a long and torturous journey, I can tell you, isn't it? Yes. It's also very expensive. It's not just taking classes. Floats in. So well done. Congratulations. We're so proud, and good luck with your class. Sign up for Carrie's class because she's good. You'll love her. It's a prayer time. Yes. It will be very, very nice. Just what we need. Okay, back to my list. What do I do next? Offering. Okay, take the money, honey. Okay, take your love offerings in your hands and give them a good with me, our offertory prayer. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I am grateful, and we are grateful, and you are grateful. And there's a basket to put your grateful offerings in before you leave. Don't forget and take them home. Okay. Now it's a peace song and prayer for protection.
Let there be peace on earth, and that it begins with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that we're meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, peace begins with me. Yes, this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
And we go out knowing that the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Yay, God. 91 years. Woo!
Dokie. Thank you.
Lovely.